seminar will begin in 5 minutes. Please have your mobile devices turned into silent mode before we begin.
He.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. As many of you may know, this is a brand new event of Hofex. As the industry giant, Hofex is catching the wave of food technology that contributes to a more sustainable future. Special thanks to our major supporter, Invest Hong Kong. Now, before we begin, may I please welcome Mr. Charles Ng, the Associate Director General of Investment Promotion, Invest Hong Kong, to give us a welcome keynote speech.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's very difficult to keep everybody awake after lunch, but I'll try to make it interesting. I'm going to be here just to tell you a little bit about the exciting journey we have. It's extremely gratifying to see all these people here and all of you for taking the time to come and listen to the seminar this afternoon, which is a very special first time ever on FOODTECH. And I'd like to welcome an audience online from around the world as well, and the audience here in this room. It's really good to see all the players downstairs in the various booths representing so many different countries. So this is amidst the pandemic, the event is happening. We're extremely excited to support this event, and thanks to Informa for organizing, putting together all these 4 big event organizers together, making Hofex a real success. And we hope that the next one, in 2 years' time, is going to be filled with people, because by the time we hope that everything will be back to normal to post-COVID period. We're going through a very exciting times despite of COVID, and I think each and every one of you, we all know that this has affected the industry very much, and everybody is trying to find a space. And we know that for a fact that some part of the businesses have done very well in the pandemic, because everybody had to cook and eat from home. And also takeouts as well. So some businesses have done very well. But moving forward, we're very excited about the future, because with what's happening across the border, and we're looking forward for the borders to be open. As you all know, we have the Greater Bay Area next door to us. And just a quick update on that. We have the latest update in terms of numbers. There's a market of 89 million people. 86 million people just within 1 hour from Hong Kong, with the Greater Bay Area, which is Hong Kong, Macau, and the 9 other cities. And that's an economy which is equivalent to $1.4 trillion US today. And if you were to take that economy as an economy, as a country itself, overall, it would be equivalent to the 11th largest economy in the world. So fast forward 10 years from now, the economy of the GBA is forecasted to be approximately 4.3 trillion US dollars, which will be equivalent to about the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world, just within 1 hour from Hong Kong. And so you're sitting here, ladies and gentlemen, and coming to Hong Kong and doing business via Hong Kong to access the market, which is second to none. It's an 86 million, and in 10 years from now, it's forecasted to be 100 million people in terms of consumer market. So it is very, very important. So today, my colleague Cindy will be talking a little bit about the whole food tech area. And food tech is very important as we bring food and technology together. And we believe that it's really at its infancy. Today, this is the first event on food tech that we see in Hong Kong. And we are very committed to really forging ahead and developing this whole area. And of course, on the food and beverage distribution, import and export in Hong Kong, but also food tech, which has a huge potential here in the city. And I would like to invite you to reach out to us, for those of you who are champions of industries, so that we could work together to build this fascinating vertical, which is food tech. With the digitalization of what's happening around, and with the way we do business, we live, we play, this whole host of new opportunities open up, which my colleague will talk about later on. And so we are very excited as Invest Hong Kong. As a government department, we're here to not only promote Hong Kong, but also attract and support companies from around the world. And for those of you who are already here, We want to expand. We also have a team here, all my colleagues in this room. We're here to support your expansion in Hong Kong and to connect you and introduce you to other players in the field. So this is our job, and we would really like to connect with you and to reach out to you and support you in your business so that you can grow and using Hong Kong as your base. And suffice to say that I think moving forward, as a global financial center, as an international innovation technology hub that we are focusing on, as well as a real platform where East meets West, the food and beverage business could not be in a better position. As we all know, Hong Kong people are food lovers. And so this is a place where people come and test new grounds, test new things, and experiment new models so that they can get financing here in Hong Kong, but also grow their business with the big players in the marketplace that is looking for new innovation and new quality and new variety of food. So with that, I'd like to wish you all a very good afternoon, a very fruitful afternoon, and also a lot of discussions around. Please don't forget to reach out to us. If we can, we will be happy to work with each and every one of you to support your business, to connect you with some other players coming into town, and to help you grow your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ng, for your very warm welcome. This seminar is a hybrid seminar, meaning that this seminar is now streaming online. And we also welcome questions from live online audience. So we have another speaker from Invest Hong Kong to talk about finding success through accelerated digital growth and food tech ecosystem in Hong Kong. Please welcome Ms. Cindy Wong, Head of Tourism and Hospitality.
Hello, good afternoon. Wow, so it's loud enough. First of all, thank you, Informa Markets, to invite us to speak. And then this morning, we attended a very exciting opening ceremony together with our Financial Secretary, Paul Chen, already. I think it's a very good kickstart of the whole Hofex event. So today, we are being very greedy because this is a hybrid event. We are not only talking to physical, attendees like yourself, but also we will have live streaming, so we will have a lot of international audience joining us. So today I will talk about, Invest Hong Kong in terms of how to help local companies and also how to support overseas companies to come into Hong Kong. I will talk about, I will separate into 4 sessions, role of Invest Hong Kong, overview of GBA, Charles talked a little bit already. We are a very special team. We have a business matching initiatives going on, and some of our local partners like Foodpanda, we always do different business matching and business partnership with them. And also, we will announce the preview of our new lifestyle cluster pitch book later. So I will take up a little bit of the time to do a little bit of advertising. Invest Hong Kong, the government department, we attract foreign direct investment into Hong Kong, and we mainly provide free of charge advisory services to companies, helping you to set up your business in Hong Kong and beyond. From the very beginning, for example, the planning stage, during the feasibility study, talking to the industry players, to the setup of the companies, and then to the launch, we will assist you. Of course, we also mentioned about the established companies in Hong Kong, in what way we can support you. Like for example, there are different funding schemes and different new initiatives by the government. We still keep connect with you to make sure that you're aware of the funding schemes and support from the government. And what else is we also know a lot of local players in Hong Kong. So for international companies, Hong Kong is a very interesting place. Actually, it's a very good platform for you to know more industry players through also our network. So to connect the international companies with local players as well. Today, of course, it's mainly my team, tourism and hospitality, coming to this event. But actually, Invest Hong Kong, we have 9 industry teams. You can see, of course, we have business professional services, financial services, transport, family office, innovation, ICT, and myself, I am from lifestyle and creative cluster. We also include consumer products and creative industry. So if your company or your clients, they are from overseas, they need help, we have someone to help you. For Invest Hong Kong, we have 31 overseas offices, and then Hong Kong is the headquarters. And then we, nowadays, because we cannot travel, so we mainly do all the business matching and all the meetings by Zoom, like today, by the live streaming. I'm sure a lot of our colleagues and clients from overseas, they are also watching this event online. Well, for investment into Hong Kong, of course, we cannot avoid GBA. Charles talked about the 86 million of population. There is a huge consumer market for all the industry, and this is within 1 hour of train services, huge potential. And to compare with other Bay areas, you can see actually the size, the GDP, we are very close to New York and Tokyo already. But you can see, I will say, the main difference is the diversity of the industry. For New York, it's finance hub. Tokyo Bay is industry Bay area. But for Hong Kong, we have different cluster of industry in the GBA, like financial center, like Shenzhen, Hong Kong is the INT, and also like the Guangdong places. Guangdong places can be the manufacturing base, and also Dongguan. How companies can make use of Hong Kong to go into GBA? I conclude mainly 4 areas. First of all, is a monetary benefit. Hong Kong holding companies, structure-wise, you can have 5% dividend withholding tax instead of 10% under the dividends article of the China-Hong Kong DTA. Second is the Hong Kong can be the risk manager. Because Hong Kong, we have 7.5 million population with very similar eating habit and culture within the GBA area. So for a lot of restaurants, for food and beverage trading companies, you can test out the recipe first and then continue with your concept and expand into GBA. You can do it step by step from here. The third thing is about Hong Kong can be the marketing hub. Hong Kong has a free flow of information, and we have plenty of professional services agencies and also marketing channels to help companies to understand the China market. Actually, we can see that there are some service providers in the retail expo downstairs already. Last but not least is Hong Kong can be, the strategic partner for a lot of companies. First of all, it's a world-class financial platform. Second, it's our well-known logistic partner for expansion. We have, world-famous stock exchange, Cathay Pacific Cargo, and Carrier Logistics. We have different stories and case studies to share, but of course, I can just pick one. This is the Tian Tian Hainan East chicken, Tin Tin Hai Lan Gai. I'm sure some of you may have tried it. It's quite good. They are from Singapore. It's a very small family-run business from the hawker center. And then they are managed to find a partner in Hong Kong, first to start in Hong Kong. And then last year, even during COVID, they are able to open in Shenzhen already. And they are doing very well. The good thing about opening in Hong Kong first is they test the market. They know how to deal with the landlords, and then they know how to enter the Shenzhen district, and they also make use of Hong Kong, the service provider and the social media channels to enter the Chinese social media channel as well. So Hong Kong is a very useful base for them to understand the demand in China. Little bit about our business matching services. This is something different from what we have been doing from the past, but this is turned out to be very useful, especially for some brands. For Invest Hong Kong, we have 31 offices overseas, and then they meet with overseas restaurants, brand names every day. But sometimes they may not come on their own. They may want to work with partners or a franchisee in Hong Kong. So we see the need to bridge the gap. So what we have been doing is trying to match with these overseas brands with local people, local restaurants. One of the examples is very interesting. It's the Lady M. Lady M actually, they are very well known from the New York City. I'm sure you have queued up for the cakes already. They opened their first shop actually in Harbour City, and they have 7 stores in Hong Kong now. They are run by 2 Hong Kong couple, Tammy and Stephen. After they opened Lady M, we also refer Sugarfina to them. It's a good synergy in terms of the branding. This also, Sugarfina is referred by the US Trade Office, and the first overseas boutique actually opened also in Harbour City, 2018. And then last year, they opened also the New York very famous another bakery is called the Dominic Ansel. So now they are in the Central and also in Harbour City already. So there are some business matching case study that we can share with you. Ongoing, we work with different major stakeholders for the collaboration. Like, for example, this December, we are working with China Light Power to organize a smart restaurant fair. I'm sure some of you may have joined it already. So we will cover different topics to share with restaurant people, like cloud kitchen, business matching. Of course, we will discuss about government funding as well. And I will also invite 2 of our overseas restaurant clients to meet with some of the local restaurant groups in this restaurant fair. So let us know if you have interest to participate as well. This part is mainly for the restaurant business. So next end of this month, actually, we will be launching our digital ecosystem pitch book for food service. We do it together with Price Waterhouse. In this pitch book, we are trying to help food services to understand the new digital ecosystem in Hong Kong, and hopefully to help you grow your business and understand the local food scene in Hong Kong. In the pitch book, it's around 30 pages. There will be case studies. There will be reports about the whole ecosystem, and we will include some case studies like from Deliveroo, from Black Sheep, and also from Green Monday. So mainly focusing on 7 different items. I may not go to too much details, but it's about, especially for Hong Kong, it's a city known for its diverse and rich food scene. So we still have a lot of good restaurants in Hong Kong, and then like 16,000 food business. So we will have a detailed description of different case studies in this booklet. What I want to highlight will be, especially for restaurant business, it's about the evolution of the cloud kitchens. I want to share it's an exciting area of growth, especially, and then this cloud kitchen concept also allowed restaurant and chefs to experiment with their products. And then because of the changes in the local behavior, so they can make use of the time also to look at different behavior and then change the menu. In the booklet, there will be case studies from Deliveroo. And then what we can see from Invest Hong Kong, actually we receive more inquiries from overseas about the setting up of cloud kitchens in Hong Kong. We can see this is a very booming sector that we will helping in the coming 2 years. And for restaurants or even for local restaurants, it can be a good partnership and collaboration for you to test out your menu and also to serve different districts at a lower cost. Another area we want to look at is the digital transformation of partners. Hong Kong has an expansive F&B scene with a total of course, close to 60,000 restaurants, but not every one of them is very big. So there are a lot of smaller scale, like coffee shops. Like for example, they can use e-cup. This is also our client in order, to help them to reach to new customers. It's been launched in 2018, and there are more than 35,000 users already. In terms of food and beverage trading, I would like to mention about the Cellar Plate. Cellar Plate is actually also owned by Informal Markets, but it's a B2B one-stop online marketplace for sourcing food, beverages, and hospitality products. It's been launched, I think, last year, very timely during COVID, and it can provide business with increased flexibility and exposure. That means, if you are doing food trading, you may not need to wait for 1 year for a trade fair or 2 years for a trade fair to attend. Actually, you can also work with Cellar Plate and then do the promotion and then to find the buyers in Asia just online. So this is the look of our pitch book. It will be ready to download at the end of this month. If you have interest, please come to us. We have a booth at Hofex as well. It's 5B530. It's next to UK and Japan Pavilion. Or just come to us, give us your contact, and then we'll contact you for the download. It will be ready end of September. So Hong Kong, we still have so much to offer, and then Invest Hong Kong, of course, we are more committed than ever to work with all of you to provide assistance to companies, to provide jobs to local people, and I hope that you enjoy this trade show, and then we will see you very soon in the very future. Stay healthy and stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Please welcome our next speaker, Dr. Daniel Crail, the Managing Director of Felfo Asia Pacific Limited, to walk us through the strategies and technologies along the integrated supply chain.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, my topic, which I have been asked to speak about, is from milk to dairy products, strategies and technologies along the integrated supply chain. Before I'm going to talk about this, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Daniel Crail, and I'm the Managing Director of Felfo. Felfo is a technology-driven supply chain management company headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland, with a regional office here in Hong Kong. We have furthermore 4 additional offices in mainland China, in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Our business is managing the supply chain. And what I'm talking about today is new strategies and technologies in the supply chain management. So before I'm going more details into this, let me give you a short introduction of the traditional supply chain model in the dairy industry. The traditional dairy industry is characterized by very close connection between farmers and the dairy company itself. The pool of farmers is usually very fixed. So you have one type of milk and you have the corresponding dairy together. Both have long-term contracts with each other or are even shareholders. The farmers, in many cases, especially in Europe, are shareholders of the respective dairy. So with this in mind, we can see a model which is actually supply-driven and not so much market-driven. On top, with a very fixed setup or fixed connection between the dairy company and their suppliers, we do have relatively slow modernization pressure because the company and the suppliers are very stable and fixed together. And with a supply chain, with a supply-driven approach, of course, there's always a certain risk of overproduction. The model is not only characterized between the farmers and the dairy, but also for the dairy itself, they have issues to deal with. So most dairy companies, they have a very fixed setup of machinery, which is not so easy to exchange, not so easy to invest in new machineries because everything is relatively expensive. And then you do have typically dairy companies which are focusing on one specific product. So you have dairy companies more on the cheese side, the yellow line, what we call it. You have dairy companies which are more on the white line, yogurt, milk, and you have dairy companies on the powder side. But even on the powder side, you do have different aspects. You have companies who are focusing on the protein side, so skim milk and milk powders. You have companies who are focusing on the whey side, which is a byproduct from the cheese production. So there as well, every dairy company does have their specific setup and their specific organization on how they deal with their raw material. On the way to new products, this setup is leading to long time lags. Because new products are usually market-driven. When you have a setup for a fixed machinery, fixed equipment, you cannot easily adjust and cope with market trends. Especially, you have not so much need and also not so much possibilities actually to create new products and to have products which are the market is in demand. This altogether leads to a relatively fixed arrangement between the supply and then the dairy company. So what to do in case new trends are emerging in the industry? This makes it very difficult when you have fixed settings to cope with these changes. So when we have a trend coming up, on which these trends are getting always faster in shorter distances, when you want to have products organic, but your farmers are conventional, so you basically would need to ask or to train them to change their existing farming into an organic farming, which takes 2 years. So you cannot see so quickly and understand, will this product in 2 years be still interesting? Yes or no? Is there still a market there? Will this trend be sustainable beyond these 2 years? So when I'm asking my farmers, please change to organic, and they're changing, starting the conversion of their products, of their agriculture, will it be still a demand after 2 years, or will it be gone? These are questions which not only are in relation to organic, but we also see trends like animal welfare, very important topic currently in Europe, where each cow or each goat, depending on what kind of milk we're talking about, needs their certain space, needs to have a good environment to live in. These are questions which a very fixed and steady setup is actually very difficult to handle. Another product which we can talk about is goat, where imagine a dairy company producing a goat cheese. And suddenly there's a demand coming up for a goat infant formula. So now it's up to this company to think and decide what I'm doing. I have the milk actually, but I'm producing cheese. And my machinery I have is done to produce cheese. So do I sell my milk now, for example, to a drying plant who can dry the product for me and I take it back? Or do I invest by myself into a drying tower, which takes a lot of time and costs a lot of money? These are questions which many dairies facing, and they have difficulties actually to deal and find a perfect answer for this. And when they venture into new products, into new categories, into new milk types, for example, then is the question, can I reach with this product where I did not have too much experience before? Can I reach in a certain necessary time a product, and can I produce a product which is in the requirement the market needs? Actually, they don't know. And another topic coming on top on this, typically the dairy companies are very far away from the fast-growing markets. The fast-growing markets are here in Asia. The dairies are typically in Europe, in the US, Australia, New Zealand, which is eventually a bit closer. But also there, they have relatively similar products, similar problems and product setups. So all in all, not easy for an established industry like the dairy industry to deal with these products. So the question is what to do, and here are a few possible solutions. In the traditional dairy setup, as I've explained, there is one pool of milk, usually connected to the plant, which in the top is a powder drying facility. In the second one, it is traditional dairy products, milk, cheese. So the proposal which we have and which we are practicing is splitting up the supply chain. So we basically cut it and reconnecting it flexibly together again. We're introducing a supply chain management system, and we have a certain production portfolio focus. So we do not do all products from anything, but we focus on very special niche dairy products, for example, our organic range or a goat range, which the supply and demand is limited. And then we have raw material supplied to specific plants which do have the right setup and then can produce the product which the market is demanding. This system actually allows the whole setup to react relatively flexible towards market trends. We have a system, when we come back to the goat sample, that we have goat milk, which we then eventually bringing to plants which can dry the milk and produce out of this milk a milk powder. Or we're leaving part of the milk at the cheese plant and taking the byproduct, the whey, and transforming this into proteins at another plant. So basically, we split up each part of the supply chain and putting it flexibly together again so that the products can be produced which the market is actually asking for. But this whole process is not very simple. It is actually quite complex, and a few certain requirements are necessary for this. So one very important requirement is the strategic focus. So you cannot do many products, and you can also not handle many industries. So you need to focus, and in our case it is dairy. You need to focus clearly on dairy, and there you need to build up the know-how and the knowledge. So everything, these requirements which I mention here, are strategies, and then know-how. Know-how, where you basically need to have the full know-how set which a traditional dairy company has, or even above, because you want to produce products for the market which are eventually new to the market. So you must produce products which have high requirements on the quality. So you must understand how to produce a certain milk powder which can fit infant formula standard. You must understand this in order to bring the raw material from one plant to another, or introducing one plant which has the drying capacity and the capability to the right raw material. So that means know-how and understanding of the production process is very essential. Then, last but not least, you also must have an R&D ability in the know-how cluster. So when customers are coming with new concepts, with new ideas, and need the right raw material, you must check the product, you must analyze the product, and you need to see how to produce this and then how to set up the right supply chain for it. In our case, we do have a own quality team. We do have an own production team, which takes care of the complete production and the complete supply chain in our company. And this, even though we do not have one single production facility. Yet, we do have a complete team, like a real manufacturer. Last but not least, then the most important part, which is, of course, then when it comes to finding the right partners, is a good network. The network is on both sides. It is on the production side, on the raw material side, means mainly in Europe, in our case, where network to farms is necessary, a network to small and medium-sized dairy companies, to different type of production facilities who are able to produce certain products, and then, of course, also to the market. Our markets are mainly here in Asia, with 4 offices plus Hong Kong. In Greater China alone, you can see already where is our major direction of work. There, you need to be inside. You need to know, and you need to know early enough what products are required, in which direction the quality requirements for infant formula especially, but also for nutritional products, are changing. Not only infant and nutritional, but of course also standard dairy products, from yogurt to milk products. Also there, quality requirements are changing, and quality demands from the market, or specific product features, I would say, are also changing, and this you must understand. You must be inside. So the requirements are strategic focus in the middle, know-how, R&D, and a solid network. And by this, you can be able to reconnect a supply chain, in our case, the dairy supply chain, and you can break up traditional fixed settings and create new values, added value, to each of the supplier and each of the player in this supply chain. You offering at the end not only a benefit to the dairy itself, the dairy company who is a manufacturer of a product, but you're also offering added value to the farmers. You take the product, you bring new products, you develop new products out of existing raw material, and you're changing the way they are used to supply and offer them at the end more customers. And like this, you are able to handle the complete supply chain from the very beginning of the raw material, of the farming, until the middle, the processing of the plants, to the very end of the consumer and the customers in the manufacturing industry. That's it for my short talk for today. I thank you very much for having me and wishing a continuously good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crail. Our next speaker is still coming, so maybe we can resume our seminar after 15 minutes, and we take a short break, and we'll see you in 15 minutes. So please come back at 3:05 after 15 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to the part 2 of FOODTECH Asia seminar. In this session, we will explore the future of food with our speaker, Ms. Natalie Lund, Program Manager, FOODTECH Accelerator of Brink.
Hi everyone. My name is Natalie and I manage the Food Technology Accelerator program at Brink, which is a global venture accelerator. I'll tell you a little bit more. Oh, can you hear me? I will tell you a little bit more about that. But first of all, I want to spend a little bit of time telling you about one of the main questions that drives our work at Brink, which is the problem of how we are going to feed almost 10 billion people sustainably by 2050. In about 30 years, we'll be about 10 billion people, of which a majority of people will be an aging population. A lot of estimates say that food production will need to almost double in order to accommodate this population growth. Yet, our current food production system is inefficient, unsustainable, and can't be scaled simply to meet this demand. Unfortunately, our current system of producing protein is particularly susceptible to this problem. It's too expensive in terms of nature, from greenhouse gas emissions to zoonotic diseases to the inefficient conversion from feed to food to water use to biodiversity loss to deforestation. There are a whole plethora of reasons why this system is not sustainable. Yet, we all need to eat. Eating meat is ingrained in our culture and everybody loves it. The demand is simply going to grow. So we need to innovate. We need to completely rethink the way we produce food from farm to fork. In terms of protein, there are 3 main types of novel technologies and solutions to combat this problem: plant-based, cell-cultured, and fermentation-based protein. We will dive a little bit deeper into all 3 of these technologies, but first and foremost, we must understand what the problem is. With our growing population, there is an increased demand for meat. As I mentioned before, the world's population is growing rapidly and drastically in the next 30 years. By 2030, which is less than 10 years away, 2/3 of the population will also be middle class. And with this increase in wealth and affluence leads to an increase in demand in meat. Sales of the meat industry is expected to be almost double by 2040. This is only the demand side of the problem. And now let's go to the supply side of the problem. The way that, and the methods we're currently employing, we simply do not have enough land and natural resources to expand meat production any further. Only 10% of all land is arable. 77% of this is now used for livestock growth, but only 33% of our protein comes from meat and dairy. There's a clear imbalance. This is why there is a huge problem with both price instability and supply chain volatility when it comes to the meat industry. This fundamentally roots back to the problem that animals are extremely inefficient producers of protein. Like many different crops, humans have domesticated animals to a great effect. We've optimized the animal production system to maximize meat per dollar and per day. However, even the most productive animals, in terms of converting feed to meat, we only achieve a 10% or so conversion rate. It takes 9 calories of feed to feed 1 chicken for us to consume 1 calorie of food. We are reaching the limits, the outer limits of what we can physically do with animals. The rest of these calories are needed for them just to live. This is without mentioning the fact that intensive animal agriculture is one of the most environmentally destructive forces in human history. It contributes to about 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions. It's the #1 use of fresh water, #1 cause of deforestation. It's the #1 user also of antibiotics, which it's a vicious cycle that leads to antibiotic resistance. It's a primary cause of zoonotic diseases, animal-borne pandemics, from bird flu to swine flu. It drives up the price of crops that can be otherwise used to feed humans. Finally, because of the fragile supply chain and price volatility that we spoke of, there are really serious question marks about the treatments of both animals and laborers who work in the intensive animal agriculture industry. Last but not least, the healthiness of meat is highly dubious. Consumption of meat, especially in highly processed meats, is also linked to many lifestyle diseases such as heart disease and cancers. But people still love to eat meat. Meat, eggs, and dairy, they're delicious and they're culturally ingrained. There's a clear supply and demand mismatch, and something needs to be done about it. We need to find alternative ways of growing protein that we like to eat, but also are more sustainable, and this needs to be powered by innovation and technology. So the first technology or solution I'd like to spend a little bit more time speaking about today is plant-based meats. That is, in manipulating ingredients like pea, soy, and beans to look, taste, and feel like meat. There are already a huge variety of these products on the market, and actually it's nothing new, especially within Asian culture. We've been eating these meat analogs for years. Plant-based meat analogs are produced much more sustainably than their conventional counterparts. And recent data has shown that not only have consumers embraced these newer alternatives, they are demanding more of them, and this is particularly true when it comes to millennials and those of a younger generation. And within Asia, we're already getting more and more regional varieties. I think Omni Park is about to speak later on today, and this is another one of our portfolio companies, Future Foods, which has created a Asian-inspired plant-based minced pork. The second solution I'd like to speak a little bit more about today is that of cultivated or cultured meat. We can now grow real meat from cultivating animal cells directly. We grow meat from stem cells extracted from animals in vessels like bioreactors without having to raise animal for foods. This has enormous implications on the entire animal and food industry. However, there are still significant barriers in order for us to commercialize cultured meat properly. First and foremost, it's very, very costly currently to produce cultured meat. In most countries, all but one actually, cultured meats have not yet obtained regulatory approval to be sold commercially. We don't yet have the infrastructure to grow cultured meat at the scale where we need it to be in order to replace its conventional counterparts. Moreover, currently in growth medium, which is the material needed to grow the meat, there's still fetal bovine serum, which is an animal product, even though scientists are quickly developing plant-based replacements for this. Last but not least, there are still limitations as to what we can do with stem cells depending on their malleability. However, the future is not bleak. Cultivated meat costs are dropping faster than a lot of other technologies historically. This proves to show that the technology is already there. It's already been proven. It's no longer just something coming out of a sci-fi movie. It's viable. It's just the question of how to get the unit economics down and how to produce it at scale. And we are very quickly achieving this at an unprecedented pace. The third technology I'd like to speak a little bit more about today is that of precision fermentation. This third technology creates alternative protein from precision fermentation, whereby we manipulate the DNA of existing microorganisms. These microorganisms can be yeast, they can be fungi, and we use them essentially as vessels or hosts to produce protein. Fermentation as a technology has existed for thousands of years. This latest advancement is just an iteration of that, and it's cheap and it's scalable while creating proteins that are fundamentally the same as those you would derive from animals. Despite the fact that precision fermentation is a recent development and has only recently come to fore in terms of food tech developments, there are already products in the market. Impossible Foods' signature burger contains heme, which is made from precision fermentation, and it's what really makes their plant-based burger juicy and bloody with the same mouthfeel as a burger. Perfect Day, you can find, actually in Hong Kong you can find them. They go under another label, I think Ice Age Foods uses precision fermentation to create proteins to make ice cream. So these products will have a shorter time to the market compared to cultured meat. So why does any of this matter? Let's talk a little bit now about the opportunities that this change represents. Animal agriculture will slowly be put out of business, not in the next 100 years, but in the next 20, 30, 40. This is because plant-based cultivated meat and also precision fermentation-based proteins will soon be cheaper than animal-grown meat, with most estimates estimating this by 2030, which again is less than 20 years away. This brings huge economic opportunities for those who can ride the growth of the alternative protein market. We can already see this with food tech startups like Beyond, Impossible, Just, that are raising money at a record pace and volume. As well as with the very active M&A scene within the food tech space. Traditional food companies, from Tyson to ADM to Danone to Kellogg to Cargill's, Nestle, all the big names have all gotten involved in the alternative protein space in order to remain competitive. The industry giants know that this is something they need to grapple with in order to win. And governments are also supportive. Singapore was the first country to approve the commercial sale of cultivated meat. The Israeli Prime Minister has tried and praised cultivated meat on national TV. A lot of governments give very, very generous grants to food technology startups, and a lot of governments are also working collaboratively to create a regulatory framework for alternative proteins globally. And although China's alternative protein industry is still relatively nascent, it is expected to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest market globally, representing perhaps the biggest opportunity of all. So now I want to speak a little bit more about what we do as Brink and how we have chosen to capture this opportunity. At our core, we are a venture accelerator. We empower game changers, entrepreneurs who are building purpose-driven businesses that are double bottom line and contribute both to society but also to the bottom line. We have been running for about 6 years, and we currently invest in startups and support these entrepreneurs through different accelerator programs that we run globally. We run 12 specialized programs in 9 different locations, and our food tech program, for which we now have 2, about to be 3 next year, has been running for about 4 years. On the food tech side, we are double bottom line mission-driven investors, like the rest of our investment thesis, where we invest in any solution that improves the inefficiencies and solve the bottlenecks in our food system to enhance sustainability, quality, and accessibility. We invest not just in alternative proteins, so all the technologies we mentioned in plant-based, cultured meat, precision fermentation, but also in novel ingredients that power these categories, in building up the infrastructure needed and building the supply chain needed to enable these new technologies, in functional foods, in solutions that optimize the efficiency of our supply chain, that upcycle food waste, and sustainable food packaging. So it's really anything that touches our agri-food supply chain to improve it for the better. What do we do with these founders? So when we invest in a company, we're essentially very hands-on, very long-term active investors. Throughout a curated 3-month-long program, we really plug in and give very tailored, customized support to founder. At our core, we believe even if 2 founders are coming to solve a very similar problem or at a similar stage, they fundamentally have very, very different needs. So we sit down, listen to them, see where their needs are for commercial growth, for technical, for fundraising, and we curate a customized program to work with them for 3 months. But that's not where it ends. Brink has built an entire ecosystem in helping early and growth stage companies succeed. We plug these companies in and build a network where they continue to participate, and we have an entire team dedicated to helping them grow beyond the program in terms of portfolio support. We have already invested in 40+ agri-food startups globally, and outside of agri-food, we have over 150 portfolio companies. A lot of these great companies, you can find more information on our website. Avant Meats, which is one of our portfolio companies, I believe will be speaking shortly after, and she would be happy. She's a great speaker to tell you a little bit more about the cultured meat part of this equation. We have built an entire ecosystem of mentors, from founders to people from more commercial backgrounds to people who are leading funds, to food scientists, people with distribution networks, lawyers, to help support our founders. And we have a very extensive network of partners. If you would like to get involved with us in any capacity, to engage with our startups, if you are corporate with innovation goals who would like to explore a pilot or a new technology, you would like to co-invest with us, please feel free to reach out, get in touch. I'm always happy to chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for your insights on fixing the broken food system. Our next speaker is the future food specialist from the well-loved Green Common and Green Monday, Mr. Avlon Chen, to explain the science behind the plant-based meat.
好，各位朋友你哋好，咁我介紹先啦，咁我就係 Avon，咁我就係Green Monday 嘅 Future Food Specialist。咁我嘅工作呢，其實我就2012年開始呢，咁我就加入 Green Monday 啦。咁當時就做咗一個推廣素食嘅工作。咁去到2015年嘅時候呢，咁我哋都會見到嗰個市場上邊，特別喺亞洲啦，以至香港啦，都越嚟越多人去想嘗試素食，或者想喺佢嘅餐飲嘅習慣裏邊，可能係食多啲素食啦咁樣。咁但係當時咧香港嘅供應咧其實非常之短缺嘅。咁所以2015年咧，我哋就開立咗一個另外一個平台，即係一個實體嘅平台，就係 Green Common。咁 Green Common 咧Green Monday 就係一個 NGO， 就係我嚟教育公眾嘅。咁 Green Common 咧其實就係 provide solution， 就係俾一啲真係我想食素嘅朋友，或者想食多啲素食嘅朋友，究竟佢哋點樣可以買到一啲真係素食嘅產品、一啲食品、一啲食物呢？咁樣。咁後來呢，喺大約2017年呢，咁當時因為 Green Common 嘅關係呢，咁我哋亦都成為咗Beyond Meat 呢間公司第一個嘅引入亞洲嘅第一個代理啦，一個代表啦咁樣。咁當時呢，其實 Beyond Meat 嚟香港嘅時候非常之轟動，因為其實 Beyond Meat 特別係 Beyond Burger 咧，咁佢係全世界第一個嘅我哋叫做生嘅植物牛肉啦咁樣。咁嚟香港嘅時候咧，其實好轟動，亦都好受歡迎。咁但係當時咧Beyond Meat 佢本身係一個好好嘅產品。咁但係咧無奈咧亞洲人咧其實唔係食咁多漢堡嘅，即係漢堡包呢樣嘢咧，我哋會食。但係佢唔係所謂叫 daily staples， 即係佢唔係一個我哋日常亞洲人普遍生活習慣裏邊係食好多嘅嘢。咁所以當時咧，我哋就 struggle 緊呢樣嘢。究竟我哋有咩方法去令到呢一樣嘢或者一個 Green Monday 呢個運動係有更加大嘅 impact， 有更加大嘅影響呢？咁所以我哋當時就去開始籌備下，究竟我哋如果亞洲要有個植物肉嘅時候，我哋應該做啲乜嘢呢？咁所以我哋嗰陣時做咗好多 analysis 啦，咁就係其中一樣嘢就係亞洲人呢，其實食豬肉為主嘅。即係如果你講亞洲包括中國呢，其實食咗全世界60% 嘅豬肉嘅，因為我哋嘅文化嘅關係啦。咁所以嗰陣時呢，就開始去研發咗依家可以喺超級市場好容易買到嘅新豬肉啦。 咁嗰陣時我就係參與成個研發過程啦，呢個產品應該係點樣做啦，咁我都有參與嘅。咁當然正式嗰個FOODTECH 嘅 lab 咧，其實喺加拿大嘅，咁我哋都係由加拿大嘅科學家去做嘅。咁我嘅工作就係點樣由加拿大嘅科學家做到一個啱翻亞洲人口味嘅豬肉，因為對於外國人嚟講呢，其實佢哋未必了解我哋亞洲飲食文化嘅，特別喺食豬肉，因為亞洲人食豬肉好叻㗎嘛，我哋將呢個豬肉變成唔同嘅質感、唔同嘅狀態，亦都可以係融入咗唔同嘅菜式裏邊，可以變炒肉碎啊，可以愛嚟釀嘢啊，可以愛嚟做 dumpling 啊，可以愛嚟做點心啊，好多好多嘅唔同嘅用途啊。咁呢樣嘢喺外國文化咧係冇嘅，其實即係亞洲人就好叻去做呢啲嘢啦咁樣。咁所以呢，我都會了解到就係究竟一個植物肉點樣先可以喺餐飲又好，或者喺實際應用上邊點樣可以達到一個最好嘅效果。咁所以呢一個呢，就係一個其實每一個食材都係嘅，即係就算你煮肉都好啦，你都要了解一個肉背後嘅一個科學，你先可以煮得好味嘅。咁當然啦，以前嚟講就係你煮個肉嘅時候憑經驗，你係知道咁樣煮好味啦。咁但係之後開始人類對科學上或者一啲檢測技術越嚟越先進嘅時候呢，其實佢對於嗰個過程係有更多了解所以解釋到點解你咁樣煮嘅時候好味。咁其實植物肉點解要特別去開呢個 topics 呢？因為呢，好多人去見到植物肉呢，咪做到好似真肉咁嘅。咁好多人呢就會咪當真肉咁煮咯，我用翻個食譜擺嚿植物肉落去，照做就搞掂啦咁樣。咁呢個呢，亦都係好多時我哋去推廣俾一啲廚師又好，一啲一啲家庭主婦都好啦。其實我哋成日叫做出事位嘅廣東話，就係佢用咗嗰個方法去煮嘅時候，發覺呢未如理想。嗱，唔會話好差嘅，其實都，但係因為個方法唔啱嘅時候呢，佢未必達到嗰個效果。咁亦都有好多人都疑問啊，就係即係對一啲咁新嘅嘢。有啲人一食過嘅時候覺得好味嘅時候，佢就會好懷疑啦。佢唔好味，佢就覺得啲嘢唔得啦。當佢好味嘅時候，佢就好懷疑，喂，究竟呢啲咩嚟嘅？點解咁似啊？咁樣咁呢樣嘢亦都係另外一樣我希望喺今日嘅內容會解答到嘅一啲問題。有啲人甚至話你一定係加咗一啲肉嘅成分落去㗎啦，偷偷地咁樣即係好多呢啲好多疑惑嘅嘢啦咁樣。咁首先呢，喺理解點樣去煮一個植物肉之前呢，我哋想了解乜嘢係植物肉先。咁好多人都好混淆嘅，咁就係呢兩樣嘢啦。咁植物肉呢，佢英文叫 plant-based meat 啦。咁其實呢，好多人同一個培植肉混淆咗嘅，因為呢喺香港或者喺亞洲呢，好多人呢都將呢兩樣嘢歸納於未來肉嘅。未來肉或者係一啲人造肉啦咁樣，因為某程度上兩者都係人為即係 artificial 啦，所以好多人就係混淆咗呢樣嘢。咁呢兩樣嘢其實呢，暫時喺香港買得到嘅全部都係植物肉嚟嘅咁植物肉同埋培植肉有咩唔同呢？其實佢英文已經係解釋咗㗎啦。Plant-based meat 啦，即係植物肉呢，其實佢就以植物為基礎。佢係植物嚟嘅，完全係。而佢個結構上呢，其實我啱啱都解釋啦，佢係植物嚟嘅。咁但係呢，細胞肉呢，即係培植肉呢，其實佢結構呢係真係細胞嚟嘅。所以呢，培植肉literally 呢，其實呢，佢嘅結構呢，基本上係可以係同真肉一模一樣嘅。咁當然啦，依家個技術未做到嘅。呢個技術做到某一啲蛋白質結構嘅啫。咁所以喺全世界基本上除咗新加坡有一個牌子叫 Just Egg， 即係出即係植物蛋間公司呢，有做到有一個雞肉係真係培植肉之外呢，其實全世界都冇得賣嘅咁因為新加坡係通過咗一個法例係俾佢賣嘅，所以暫時如果你試培植肉呢，就係喺新加坡嘅啫好啦。咁其實兩者嘅做法有咩唔同呢？其實呢，左手邊呢個就係植物肉啦。咁植物肉就會最簡單，比較簡單嘅。首先呢，就係喺啲植物裏邊提取一個蛋白質出嚟。記住係提取一個蛋白質出嚟。所以呢，其實你唔會覺得 植物肉哇會食同食真肉一樣好多纖維嘅因為咧其實佢只係喺個豆啊或者特別係豆啦提出個蛋白質出嚟，因為如果太多纖維嗰嚿就唔似肉㗎啦。咁所以佢個技術就係喺唔同嘅植物，特別係豆類，因為豆類咧喺蛋白質係最高，即係個比例上。咁但係最早期咧就多數用黃豆嘅，咁但係因為好多原因啦而家個技術就係喺唔同嘅植物唔同嘅豆咧亦都會提取蛋白質出嚟。因為如果你全部人用晒黃豆做植物肉嘅時候咧，都係另外一個生態災難嚟嘅。咁所以咧，依個世界上咧就好多唔同嘅公司發展緊唔同嘅蛋白質技術啦。咁我哋自己嘅產品咧，我哋都會用到豌豆啦、大米啦同埋黃豆嘅蛋白質嘅。因為咧，其實每一個蛋白質咧，每一種唔同植物蛋白質咧，其實咧佢個味道同口感都唔同嘅，所以咧你要配合唔同嘅產品，譬如我哋嘅餐肉，我哋要製造一個比較韌少少嘅口感咧，我哋就用到小麥蛋白嘅嗰個所以嗰個就唔係 gluten free 嘅，但係因為有咗小麥蛋白咧，佢就能夠做到個口感。咁新豬肉咧就唔需要小麥蛋白佢要做到滑口或者比較上係似翻豬肉啲咧，我哋就冇用佢小麥蛋白嘅。咁好啦，好多人都問呢個問題啦，即係植物肉係咪唔使煮啊咁樣？植物肉咧都要煮嘅，呢個只係衞生問題。咁但係本質上咧，其實佢同真肉最大唔同就係話，其實佢唔應該有生同熟嘅概念嘅，因為咧肉咧係煮熟佢咩叫肉去煮熟一嚿肉咧？就係個蛋白質變性就由一個細胞嘅蛋白質破壞咗，其實最後你食緊個肉嘅時候咧。其實佢已經變咗一個所謂叫纖維狀嘅蛋白質結構，就係你煮熟嚿肉咪變咗1 cc 嘅。其實嗰個結構同你生嘅肉咧係完全唔同嘅咁呢樣嘢呢樣嘢咧其實係唔會喺植物肉發生嘅。植物肉係唔會因為你煮咧個蛋白質會變性嘅咁所以咧但係咧喺市場上邊咧產品都好得意嘅。咁我哋會點樣劃分咧？就係話有一啲係模仿生肉嘅，例如邊啲咧？新豬肉係模仿生嘅肉嘅，所以你見到咧，佢烹調方法咧同真嘅肉碎咧係好接近嘅佢煮嘅時候亦都會凝固，亦都會變色嘅咁另外咧就係最出名嘅 Beyond Burger 啦。Beyond Burger 其實係模仿生肉係全世界第一款嚟嘅，但係就牛肉嚟嘅咁甚至佢有啲椰子油就模仿埋啲油脂嗰啲油花叫做新餐肉咧好得意其實佢都係模仿生肉嘅，因為傳統我哋食嘅午餐肉就係罐頭，其實午餐肉原本都係肉漿嚟㗎嘛，其實喺做罐頭嘅過程咧，佢加熱就會熟咗，所以你攞嚿午餐肉出嚟就可以切可以即係佢係熟嘅，其實你就算唔煮都食得嘅。咁但係咧新餐肉其實佢係用急凍嘅方法，佢係冇經過高溫加熱。嗰個過程，因為佢唔係罐頭，咁所以佢咧就係一個 frozen 嘅產品。咁但係如果你攞出嚟溶雪，佢變咗肉漿嘅都會咁另外一啲咧就比較多啲開始多啲做得比較好嘅，就係一啲熟肉嘅產品。譬如呢個係西班牙嘅牌子啦，咁係一個熟嘅雞肉。咁熟嘅肉咧，其實咧佢個變化就冇咁多嘅。基本上你拆出嚟，你整翻熱佢，煎翻熱佢，炒翻熱佢咧。其實已經係完㗎啦，嗰個即係變化又冇咁多，但係烹調亦都係非常之簡單嘅即係同埋冇得醃嘅嗰啲冇得醃㗎，其實已經係好啦，要解釋植物肉點解可以做到咁似肉咧？首先我哋了解咗點解嚿肉會似肉先啦其實咧，我哋食一嚿肉，佢似肉咧。係有個原因嘅，咁其中一樣嘢就係我哋嘅口感啦。譬如一個肉，我哋咬落去嘅時候，譬如牛肉嘅口感啦，豬肉嘅口感啦，雞肉嘅口感。咁呢一個就令你個腦去演繹咗呢嚿係肉，解讀咗呢個係肉咁另外就係味道啦味道咧，其實咧除咗嚿肉嘅味道咧，好多時我哋對肉嘅認知就係透過菜式嘅體驗，而菜式嘅體驗咧好多時咧嚟自調味嘅。調味或者一個唔同嘅，特別如果亞洲菜可能一啲唔同嘅質感嘅嘢一啲香料嘅配搭啦咁樣。咁第三樣咧就叫風味啦。咁風味同味道有咩唔同咧？其實好得意嘅，味道咧就係你舌頭感受到嘅嘢，即係甜 酸、鹹、苦、鮮味啦。咁風味咧其實同好多文化有關嘅，即係我哋亞洲人有亞洲人嘅飲食，印度人有印度人嘅飲食，或者台灣人有台灣嘅飲食，美國嘅飲食。我哋食咖喱，但係我哋未必個個食到傳統印度嘅咖喱嘅。咁呢個咧就係同你由細到大嘅一啲經歷有關嘅，即係有好多人佢中意食某樣嘢，就係因為可能佢由細到大呢樣嘢係俾到好多好好嘅記憶。或者係聯繫咗好多思想上邊嘅一個愉快記憶嚇，即係你就覺得嗰樣美味㗎啦。如果嗰樣嘢聯繫一個痛苦記憶咧，可能你一世都唔食嘅嚇。咁呢個就係一個後天會出現嘅嘢。你住嘅地方，你成長嘅環境都會影響你對於食物嘅喜好。好啦，咁其實肉嘅口感又點嚟呢？肉嘅口感主要係嚟自3樣嘢嘅，就係呢樣嘢係肉嘅吸引地方。第一就係蛋白質，第二就係水分，同埋咧就係油脂嚇。如果冇油脂嘅肉咧就乾爭爭啦，好柴啦，我哋叫做。咁如果冇水分嘅肉亦都好柴。咁其實肉類就係咧咬落去嘅時候，除咗俾到個好頑強嘅韌力嗰個口感之餘咧，其實咧好 juicy 嘅，叫做 juicy。佢好多肉汁咧，你食落去嘅時候咧，嗰個變化係好豐富嘅。你好即係覺得係好舒服嘅個口感受到嗰樣嘢咁呢個就係肉嘅口感。所以植物肉咧嘅基本結構都係呢3樣嘢嘅。你見到蛋白質，無論係用豆、用藜麥、用小麥都好啦，其實都係個高濃度嘅蛋白質，加埋水分咁樣，所有植物肉都有水嘅，同埋一個脂肪。咁有呢3樣嘢去配合咗之後，其實咧就初步可以模仿到一個肉類嘅一個口感㗎啦。其實咁當然啦，頭先講翻就係仲有一個塑形技術啦，就係啱啱我都會講嘅，就係其實佢點樣去做到一個口感啦。咁好啦，另外一樣嘢就係味道啦。咁除咗口感之外，味道咧其實咧肉類嘅味道嘅來源係乜嘢咧？有2個層面嘅，一個就嚟自肉類本身嘅肉類本身咧，其實生肉有冇味㗎？生肉係唔好味㗎嘛，一般嚟講都係，即係生肉係冇熟肉咁吸引嗰個味。咁有咩分別咧？其實生肉咧，你會發覺係生肉係冇乜好淡嘅味嚟嘅，同埋係冇乜鮮味嘅。煮熟咧個鮮味先會出到嚟嘅。點解咧？因為咧鮮味嘅來源就氨基酸，即係谷氨酸，特別係谷氨酸。咁但係咧谷氨酸如果喺蛋白質裏邊結合咗一齊咧，其實你係食唔到嘅，因為條脷咧係感受唔到一個咁大嘅分子結構嘅。所以當你煮個肉嘅時候咧，嗰個蛋白質就分解，嗰啲氨基酸特別係谷氨酸咧就會變成游離狀態，當時候咧先會產生鮮味嘅。但係都唔夠。舉多一個例子啊，如果你煮一個湯，你擺咗幾隻雞落去，又骨又好多材料嘅，煲完個湯，如果你唔落鹽，嗰個湯有冇味㗎？你發覺飲完都係好似冇味咁，我落咁多料都冇味呢。但係當你加鹽嘅時候，一加完鹽之後呢，你成個湯好似脫胎換骨咁嘅，你會覺得係完全係另外一樣嘢。你以為落鹽係俾到鹹味，但你發覺點解落完鹽之後，成個湯除咗鹹味之外，仲好豐富咗好多呢？其實就係因為谷氨酸呢樣嘢呢，本身點解咁耐先俾人發現呢？真係好難察覺嘅谷氨酸，因為谷氨酸本身係一個氨基酸嚟嘅，佢係澀味同埋酸味嘅，真係佢係唔好味嘅。咁直至咧佢同鈉結合咗，所以就譬如谷氨酸鈉。其實谷氨酸鈉咧就等於味精啦，我哋叫做即係一天然嘅，其實味精係。咁我哋傳統嘅叫做味精啦，叫 MSG monosodium glutamate。其實咧，所有嘅谷氨酸都係要同鈉結合咗，佢先會有嗰個鮮味。咁同埋一樣嘢就係第二樣嘢咧就係血紅素。咁血紅素其實咧好多植物肉咧都係冇呢個味道嘅。唯一有一個就係有一個牌子就係都係美國嘅牌子啦。咁佢係用基因技術就做咗一個植物血紅素出嚟，所以佢係真係有牛肉嗰種腥嗰種鐵味嘅。咁但係呢個喺亞洲菜裏邊咧，我哋好多時揾啲嘢辟咗佢嘅。呢樣嘢係就係文化嘅分別。除非你食牛扒，如果唔係你就唔係好 crave 嗰種味嘅。咁第三樣就係 脂肪嘅味啦，其實脂肪譬如豬油嘅味啦，牛脂嘅味啦，咁但係暫時嘅植物肉咧，你都唔會揾到呢種味嘅。所以咧，植物肉同肉咧，你係一定分得到嘅。如果你係食肉嘅話，因為我哋而家唔食肉嘅時候，我就唔知點分啦嚇。咁大家係一定分得到嘅。咁第二種就係佢個美味來源就係烹調過程啦。因為咧，肉類嘅烹調其中一樣嘢令佢好味咗咧，除咗個氨基酸出現，即係除咗個蛋白質分解之外咧，就係個梅納反應同埋焦糖反應。當你煮個肉嘅時候咧，你超過140度嘅時候咧，其實嗰個肉就會產生個反應，因為有蛋白質同糖加熱到140度以上咧，佢就有好多嘅新嘅化學物質產生，而呢種物質就係會產生一個好味嘅肉味嘅物質啦。咁但係因為由細到大，我哋聞到呢種味、食到呢種味咧，都喺肉度嚟。但係我哋唔知道佢有呢種味個關鍵唔係因為肉，而係因為有蛋白質同糖。咁所以所有植物肉佢哋除咗個高濃度蛋白之外，仲有糖喺裏邊。所以佢加熱嘅時候可以做到同肉類咧同一樣嘅化學反應。所以喺呢一刻咧，你聞到啦，同埋你食到咧，你都會以為自己食緊肉嘅，因為本身嗰樣嘢就唔係因為係肉先產生到嘅嘢嚟。咁呢個就係頭先我都講過啦，即係除咗味道本身嘅時候，有時我哋菜式嘅展現，譬如我哋中意食燒賣，我哋中意食蝦餃，其實呢啲都係同我哋嘅飲食文化同記憶有關嘅。即係因為我哋食嘢嘅時候，除咗條脷感受到嘅時候咧，其實個腦好多時會影響你對嗰個食物嘅一個perception 即係嗰個認知咁樣。咁所以喺設計菜式上邊，其實係要成個嘅美食體驗去考慮，而唔係淨係呢個植物肉，呢個真肉，喂唔似夠真肉喎。佢雖然食落係有唔似嘅地方，但係唔代表你喺成個菜式裏邊唔可以透過一個唔同嘅配搭做法或者食材嘅組裝去重現一個肉食菜式嘅美味體驗。呢樣嘢係一個烹調植物肉裏邊好重要嘅一樣嘢，唔好去太 insist 去睇嗰個肉，佢係咪真係完全係似佢唔似都可以好食㗎。所以咧，其實植物肉個做出嚟就係希望好食同埋帶到肉食嘅體驗，佢唔係真係要取代嚿豬肉嘅。其實好啦，咁歸納咗啦，咁其實味道啦、口感啦、風味啦咁樣。咁其實口感有啲特別嘅口感，我特別會講咧，就係咧，除咗蛋白質、脂肪、水分之外咧，其實咧植物肉咧好多時都有澱粉質嘅，因為咧澱粉質其中一樣嘢就係做一個凝膠化嘅過程。因為咧你肉碎咧，我哋煎佢加熱嘅時候咧，佢會凝固噶嘛。點解會凝固啊？就係因為蛋白質溶解，蛋白質溶解之後咧，佢會重新結合咧，就會令到啲肉黐埋咗。咁但係咧，植物肉咧，佢個過程係唔同嘅，佢就係用一個裏邊有個澱粉嘅，你見到，同埋一啲纖維嘅，所以食植物肉咧係會食埋纖維嘅，其實係好健康嘅，因為佢食咗一份纖維㗎啦。如果食新豬肉一包100克已經，咁其實嗰個纖維有咩用咧？其實等佢加熱嘅時候，佢有個凝膠化嘅過程咧，就將佢啲肉碎結合咗，或者佢唔係肉碎都好，都會有澱粉咧。其實係就將個味道去鎖緊咗嘅，因為咧植物肉嘅結構咧好似海綿咁嘅，你俾咗味道佢，俾咗所有嘢佢咧，其實佢好易流失嘅，所以佢要靠一個好似其實凝膠化，其實簡單嚟講就係打芡。打芡就有個作用咩啊？將油同水融合一齊咯。如果你冇咗呢個澱粉嘅時候，咁啲水同油咪會分開咗咯，因為係有蛋白質、油同水噶嘛。咁所以喺加熱嘅過程裏邊，因為凝膠化咧，佢就會將啲油、水同埋味道咧鎖緊咗。咁所以喺烹調植物肉嘅過程咧係有啲唔同嘅，因為咧佢凝固咗之後咧，其實就唔再入味噶啦。咁所以好多時咧，你之前要搞好咗個味道啦，因為之後咧就嗰啲味道唔入到裏邊嘅。咁呢個同真肉唔同，真肉咧生嘅時候就唔係好入味。生嘅時候你醃佢落好耐，你15分鐘好㗎啦。其實你再醃耐啲咧，其實冇乜分別嘅。點？因為咧真肉嘅細胞咧其實好複雜嘅，佢裏邊本身已經好多液體咧，所以你所有嘢都入唔到去。 但係一熟嘅時候咧，佢就開始入味啦。所以我哋中國人有燜啦。當你燜到個肉咧，佢已經開始爛嘅時候咧，佢啲味咧入晒去，你會見到成嚿肉裏邊都變埋色㗎啦，其實嚇。但係如果你普通你做叉燒，你冇咁長時間嘅時候，你發覺裏邊都係白色㗎，因為好多嘢入唔到去㗎，除咗鹽。鹽咧係好容易會入到去嘅，其實如果你擺啲鹽喺個肉生嘅肉面頭咧，你蒸一晚咧，可能成嚿肉第二日啦都會鹹咗㗎啦，就會嚇。咁呢個又唔同啦。咁啊！呢頭先我講過啦，其實就係肉嘅鮮味咧，其實咧係唔係一定肉先有嘅？因為如果講頭先我講肉裏邊嘅谷氨酸加鹽之後變成谷氨酸鈉咧，其實谷氨酸最早被發現咧喺海藻度嚟嘅，所以你係唔需要有嚿一定係動物嘅肉，你先可以有谷氨酸鈉嘅。所以就算喺植物都好，其實佢本身好多植物本身自己係菇類啊，一啲番茄豆類咧，本身其實都會有谷氨酸鈉嘅，只不過佢係游離狀態定係喺個蛋白質裏邊嘅啫。咁仲有就係一啲菇類嘅嘢啦GMP 啦，GMP 都係植物度有嘅，係 IMP 另外一樣嘢咧，即係叫基金酸二鈉都係一個鮮味嘅來源嚟嘅咁呢個頭先講翻啦，其實咧呢個就係真肉，佢係細胞肉，其實就好複雜嘅結構嚟嘅。因為隻動物要喐噶嘛，所以佢個結構就好複雜嘅。但係如果你嚿肉就係想我嚟食嘅時候咧，其實係唔需要咁複雜嘅。咁咧其實咧呢一度你見到呢度成條就係我哋平時咧煮完嚿肉之後咧煮到爛晒一絲絲，係其中一條絲已經係咁複雜㗎啦。咁呢一個結構咧，就係當你煮佢嘅時候咧，其實佢外邊有啲蛋白質會溶解嘅，所以你有時將啲肉煮湯煮到好耐嘅時候咧，你會發覺咧佢變咗一絲絲，就係因為呢個殼係啦，呢個殼咧佢溶咗出嚟，咁你見到啲湯開始起膠啦，其實嗰層係蛋白質唔係油嚟嘅。咁當佢呢層溶咗嘅時候咧，其實你嗰啲就會見到一絲絲㗎啦。正常生肉咧係見唔到㗎嘛。咁呢一個咧就影響咗嗰個烹調啦。咁如果你係蒸肉嘅時候咧，其實你個調味或者你可以燜嘅，但係植物肉咧，其實佢個結構咧係唔可以燜嘅，因為佢唔係咁嘅形狀嘅。呢個係真肉嗰個結構啦，佢係細胞結構。而佢煮嘅過程咧，煮完之後就唔係咁嘅樣啦，因為成個破壞晒咧，就變咗一個所謂纖維狀嘅，就變咗咩形狀咧？呢個咧就係植物肉嘅結構。其實嗰邊咧就係豆嘅蛋白質嘅本身嘅蛋白質嘅細胞。但係咧，佢生產到植物肉嘅時候咧，其實已經有經過蒸煮好多加熱好多嘅程序咧，其實就破壞晒成個嘅蛋白質細胞。最後咧，其實嗰個蛋白質細胞已經係變成一個纖維狀嘅，係啦。咁呢啲就係植物肉嘅原材料，就係蛋白質經過好多嘅過程係抽取咗出嚟。其實個過程有啲似做麵包嘅。就做到一個海綿狀嘅嘢，所以咧植物肉入味係好快嘅。基本上咧，你加咩落去，佢即刻會吸咗，因為佢係海綿嚟㗎嘛，佢係靠裏邊好多窿窿咧，其實係儲存晒所有嘢。係啦，頭先我解釋過啦，咁究竟植物肉係生定熟咧？其實咧，我哋唔應該用生同熟嘅概念去睇植物肉嘅，因為佢只不過係俾到你，我成日講係一個分子料理嚟嘅啫。佢俾你覺得佢由生變熟嘅啫，呢個亦都係除咗係俾你係更加感受到肉類嗰個更加覺得佢係肉之外咧，其實咧亦都係方便我哋融入去一個我哋平時嘅一啲菜式裏邊，同埋令到一啲唔同嘅人好容易可以好直覺上就 set 翻條啦，即係望到佢你就唔使教你嘅，你都知道我整個肉餅就可以做到肉餅，我包餃子就包餃子啦咁樣。所以做植物肉嘅時候咧，連生嘅顏色咧都係要 tune 好耐嘅，係要做到好似你望落去係好似生嘅肉，煮完之後咧佢有個變色咧，亦都係好似嚿肉熟咗咁樣樣。咁所以呢個就係植物肉係唔會有生同熟嘅概念嘅，只不過俾你個視覺上睇到佢好似生變熟咁嘅啫。咁呢個咧其實都會講到少少一啲關於即係大部分植物肉都好相似嘅。其實而家好多植物肉，咁我哋而家特別講新豬肉咧，其實佢裏邊咧除見到水係好多嘅， 水係好多嘅。咁但係呢個比較特別咧，佢就好少脂肪嘅。其實佢其中一個賣點就係100克裏邊咧得0.8克脂肪嘅啫，基本上係冇咁滯嘅其實。咁另外一樣嘢就係佢有一個叫做，佢除咗有soy protein 即係大豆蛋白之外咧，其實佢有一個叫 Shiitake fermented P and Y 嘅。咁因為其實呢個點解叫 Shiitake fermented 咧？其實係一個非常新嘅技術，好多人冇察覺到嘅。因為咧大豆蛋白咧就係完全蛋白質嚟嘅。即係話你身體需要嘅營養嘅蛋白質咧嘅氨基酸嘅嘢去齊晒嘅20種，但係咧豌豆同米係唔完全蛋白質嚟嘅，但係咧佢透過一個發酵技術咧，其實佢轉換咗之後咧，其實佢自己都會變埋一個完全蛋白質。嗱呢個就係將來好多嘅發酵技術都話要做呢樣嘢，因為如果我哋要揾多啲蛋白質來源嘅時候，佢係唔係一個所謂 complete protein 咧？其實好大關鍵嘅，因為你要取代一個糧食喎，你要取代肉係 complete 噶嘛。所以咧好多唔同嘅豆類啊或者植物咧，其實佢原本唔係 complete protein 咧。其實如果做植物肉嘅時候咧，都需要最好啦就將佢變為一個所謂叫complete protein 嘅。咁所以咧Beyond Meat 就反而 Beyond Burger 反而就唔係 complete protein， 因為佢係主要用 pea 用豌豆而冇經過發酵嘅呢個就係一個最大嘅分別啦好啦，咁因為今日咧平時我做呢啲都可能係一啲 cooking demo 嘅嘢，咁如果大家想有咩問題或者係想了解多啲，咁我4點半喺5G 嘅742嘅 Green Common 嘅 counter 咧，其實有另外一個分享，咁嗰個就會有啲煮嘢食嘅，咁我會示範下用植物肉去點樣去煮一個菜式，有唔同嘅應用。咁如果有興趣嘅時候，可以過去睇下、試下，同埋現場有問題嘅時候都可以問。咁當然如果你而家有時間嘅時候，而家都可以問問題嘅
We also accept the live Q&A session, so if you would like to raise some questions, feel free. Okay, so thank you so much for Avlon's Little Science lecture on the plant-based meat, and we'll swap the next 2 sessions. And now please welcome Dr. Sarah Sang. Thank you, Avlon. Dr. Sarah Sang, the Senior Engineer of Nano and Advanced Materials Institute Limited.
Okay, good afternoon. I am Sarah from NAMI, and thanks Hofex inviting us to share our advanced technologies for eco-friendly food and processing. And here are today's main contents. First, please join me to take a look at NAMI. Then, I would like to introduce some of our food and beverage industry-relevant technologies. One is the nanobubble technology, and the other is low-carbon microalgae food. NAMI was set up in 2006 by the Hong Kong government as a research and development center for nanotechnology and advanced materials. NAMI undertakes and provides support for the market-driven research in advanced materials, as well as we strive for the commercialization of technologies to benefit the society and industry. Briefly, we are a non-profit R&D institute under the Innovation and Technology of Hong Kong government. As a material experts, we have more than 200 scientific specialists, as well as professional laboratory and precise equipments. By far, we owned more than 400 patents, and our technologies also receives many international technology awards. So if you are looking for some technical support or new product ideas and consultation of advanced materials and even funding application support, NAMI definitely is a good choice to provide to you a beneficial collaboration. And after a glance on NAMI, I would like to introduce one of our core technology in food and beverage application. That's the nanobubble technology. Generally, when feeding gas into the liquid, bubbles are formed with a size larger than 1,000 micrometer. By contrast, the nanobubble 10,000 smaller with the diameters around 100 nanometer, and it can steadily maintain in the liquid for a long period. Here we can see the difference between two bubbles. On the left, the general gas bubble are larger and cannot stay in water, while on the right, first you can see many tiny and white spots in the water, but it's not nanobubble. It's the microbubble. During the bubble generation, microbubble was first generated, and then it was shared into smaller size by our technologies. Then nanobubble was formed. Actually, we cannot see nanobubbles by our eyes. Nanobubble can be observed by a professional equipment in our lab, and which is located in Hong Kong Science Park. If you are interested in this technology, and welcome to visit us and have a unique side of this. Technically, nanobubble was generated by a special design. It can produce more than 10 millions of nanobubble in 1 ml of liquid, and then prolong the bubble existence in water. So this nanobubble generator can increase the gas dissolution and dispersing with a lower dosage of gas and a lower dosage of energy consumption. This technology has been patented by China National IPA and Hong Kong IPD. We have also received many international awards, including the Gold Awards of Geneva Invention and the 2020 R&D 100 Awards, as well as the Hong Kong exhibition as well as the Asia exhibition of Hong Kong Invention. With the facilitation of the nanobubble generator, different kinds of gas can be applied to produce different functional water. For example, when using air or oxygen nanobubble, it can increase the dissolved oxygen in water and then used for hydroponics and aquaculture. Well, as we know, ozone is a strong oxidizing gas. Then the ozone nanobubble water could be a powerful oxidizer. And then first, it can be used for the wastewater treatment plant for the organic pollutant degradation. And it also can be used as a strong sanitizer to kill the germs and some bacteria. Another one is the nitrogen. It's an inert gas. When bubbling the nitrogen nanobubble into water, it can reduce the dissolved oxygen concentration in water and create a very inert environment. So this can be applied to suppress the growth of aerobic bacteria and prolong and slow down the food spoilage. It also can prevent the oxidation of some nutrients in the beverage. So I think the nitrogen nanobubble have a great potential in food and beverage preservation treatment. And here are some successful applications of our technologies. First is air nanobubble in plants and fishes growth promotion.
香港地少人多，水耕菜就成為本地種植嘅另一出路。截至18年嘅2月底，全港有37個水耕農場，佢哋17至18年度嘅總產量達到815公噸。呢個位於工廈嘅菜場，就係以魚菜共生嘅方式種植蔬菜同食用花，供應俾本地嘅餐廳同烘焙店。佢哋舊年開始都用咗納米氣泡水嚟進行水耕種植。
用咗納米氣泡咧，我哋啲花咧，食用花咧生快咗20至30% 到嘅，其他種子嘅發芽率咧都會高咗10至20% 到咯。而家係一盆花一個禮拜大約30至40朵花到嘅，如果冇嘅咁就大約20、30度咯。
生長速度加快，發芽率高咗，令到菜場嘅生產效益大大提高。樂子健指，只要用到2部納米氣泡生產器，就足夠供應俾成個菜場嘅水耕蔬菜。其實樂子健都有考慮過購買其他納米氣泡生產器，但除咗成本嘅考慮，市面上用高壓氣泵產生嘅納米氣泡，其實唔適合用嚟種植水耕蔬菜。
靠高壓嘅情況下，擠啲空氣出嚟咧，就會產生咗熱力嘅。如果你室內用你嘅水嘅體積有限嘅時候咧，就好容易將啲水嘅溫度加熱。但係植物咧，中意嘅溫度係大約18至22度咧，嘅生長速度係最快最優良嘅。但係你將啲水加到30、40度嘅話咧，佢就生好慢嘅。
佢哋依家所用嘅納米氣泡生產器係用計算機流體動力學原理去設計，所以唔會產生熱力，影響蔬菜嘅生長。樂子健指，佢哋未來會擴充佢哋嘅魚菜共生菜場，到時除咗水耕種植會用到納米氣泡，養魚都會用埋納米氣泡水，就可以。
And this is an application of air nanobubble in the hydroponics. And here we also have some comparison data. So on the right side of both pictures, when using air nanobubble, we can see the plants grow faster and the leaves are more stronger and greener when compared with those in the traditional system. And this is a nanobubble germination project that we work together with VMO. We can see the germination rates of both vegetables, which was increased by about 17 to 33% by the air nanobubble system. And at the same time, the air nanobubble also successfully applied in the fish farming. And here is a video.
Ben 啊，今日你帶我嚟魚塘呢度，究竟有咩創科好介紹啊？
我哋呢個魚塘用咗納米氣泡發生器，咁我哋呢度啲魚即係生長週期會短啲，同埋呢度啲魚嘅大細嘅嗰個 size 係亦都會生長得比較大啲嘅。
香港內陸魚塘面積有限，養殖成本又高，上年度本地養殖嘅塘魚只係佔我哋淡水魚食用量大約5%。為咗喺有限資源下養到更多更健康嘅魚，呢個魚塘就嘗試用納米氣泡嚟養魚。平時養魚一般都會用到氣泵，將啲空氣打入水入面，為魚提供足夠嘅氧氣生長。一般嚟講，如果含氧量低過4毫克，啲魚就會開始減少進食，咁就影響到佢哋嘅健康同埋會減慢生長。
咁魚有足夠嘅嗰個氧氣咧，即係個活動範圍同埋活動嗰個活躍程度係會比較高啲嘅。魚嗰個生長週期咧，咁比正常差唔多快咗1.5倍左右嘅。咁另外一樣嘢，魚嘅死亡率咧，即係喺個現實嚟講，睇到個死亡率係低咗好多嘅。因為納米氣泡發生器即係導致產生呢個效果，即係令到魚嘅個健康情況係相對嚟講係比其他生活環境上面會提升咗好多嘅。
用咗呢部納米氣泡生產器，就可以將啲空氣氣泡撕裂到只有納米尺寸嘅大細，咁就可以令水入面嘅含氧量增加大約2至3成。 一於測試下呢度啲水嘅含氧量有幾高先。
呢一部係測氧機嚟嘅，咁我哋而家做緊嘅嘢咧，就係將呢樣嘢測試器抌落水入邊，測試水入邊嘅含氧量嘅。
最高嗰陣就度到每公升含氧量有7.6毫克，而另一個冇用到納米氣泡嘅魚塘，每公升含氧量就只有4.7毫克，相對低一啲。而且因為水中嘅氧氣多咗，比一般嘅魚塘可以養多1倍半嘅魚，變相令每條魚嘅平均養殖成本大大降低。
So as introduced, the air nanobubble can increase the dissolved oxygen content in water in order to accelerate the fish growth and increase the productivity in fish farming. But as we know, the oxygen demand of different fish living in different water levels are not same. For example, for this jade perch, it's living in the shallow water and requires more oxygen. So our air nanobubble technology can improve its weight growth up to 122%. However, for some fish which live in deeper and with less oxygen demands, such as the giant grouper, the nanobubble technology can only increase its growth rate by 10%. So if you are more interested in the nanobubble benefits or more kinds of aquatic products, we can provide you more professional advices. Another application is the ozone nanobubble water. This is a case for the food packing sanitization. And here an ozone nanobubble system was installed in a can washing line. And the produced ozone nanobubble water can kill more than 99.9% of the total bacteria in this can washing line. So I think this system can be further applied in a wide range of food packing industry and improve the safety in food production. We also developed a domestic ozone nanobubble system, and here this system produced ozone nanobubble water. It not only can efficiently remove all the pesticides, it also can kill more than 99.5% of the surface bacteria within 5 minutes. And this system can be further scaled up and applied in food industry for some fresh fruits and vegetables cleaning. Currently, under the pandemic, we all care about the virus prevention. And here I would like to share our latest virus inactivation test results. So the ozone nanobubble water can kill more than 99.9% of the type A H1N1 influenza virus and the human coronavirus faster. And more than 99.5% of both viruses can be killed within 2 minutes. Actually, it has been reported that some respiratory viruses that attached on the outer packing of some seafood was imported from the overseas and by the food cold chain, and then it infected people. So I think the ozone nanobubble water can be a potential choice for the outer packing sanitization in food storage and transportation. Here we are working on developing some new technologies. This is the nitrogen nanobubble and applied in food and beverage industry. From this chart, we can see the nitrogen nanobubble can reduce the dissolved oxygen concentration in water. And in these pictures, first, When the tuna was treated by the nitrogen nanobubble water, and after 10 days storage, the meat quality, can you see that red color here? Not so clear. The meat quality of this tuna was still in red color and with spongy and compact texture. Well, as compared, this tuna, we can see the pale color and the soft texture that is treated by the conventional method. So we think nitrogen nanobubble is efficient in extending the shelf life of fish and keep it fresh. Here is our preliminary result on the cooking oil antioxidation. And nitrogen nanobubble was flushed into the cooking oil for the preservation treatment. And within 15 days, we can see its peroxide value is quite lower than the control sample, which means nitrogen nanobubble can slow down the auto-oxidation in the cooking oil. At the meantime, we can see these pictures. There are no obvious difference between two sample oils. So this indicates that nitrogen nanobubble didn't affect the appearance of cooking oil very much. And here is some preliminary results on the fresh juice antioxidation. Nitrogen nanobubble was flushed into this fresh juice for preservation treatment, and within 4 days, we can see there are still more antioxidants content in the nanobubble sample when compared with those without treatment, and the antioxidant was degraded very slower. So I think the nitrogen nanobubble is efficient in prevention the auto-oxidation and some oxidation of nutrients in the fresh fruits. So here above are some preliminary studies on our nitrogen nanobubble. And as a potential preservation technology, it also has the merits of low cost and has safety in food production. So here, we would like to collect more information and requirements from industry and looking for collaboration to develop a platform project and for further research and innovation of these nitrogen nanobubble technologies in food and beverage application. Here is another technology of NAMI, the low-carbon microalgae food. Microalgae is an eco-friendly species. It can absorb carbon dioxide by the photosynthesis and release oxygen. Here, NAMI has already successfully applied this technology in the indoor air quality improvement. And furthermore, microalgae have great potential in food production. Compared with other food production, the productivity of microalgae are super high, while his carbon footprint are quite low. This is because it's extremely fast growth rate here. Moreover, at the food, microalgae have super rich nutrients such as high protein, vitamins, a healthy fatty acid, and antioxidants. As a good choice of food coloring and alternative food, microalgae food have great market prospects. Here, when compared with other protein sources such as salmon and so-called impossible meat, microalgae shows relative low production cost. So I think this microalgae is more than an eco-friendly food, but have great benefits. At present, we are At present, on this technology, we keep developing the design of the photobioreactor and optimizing the treatment process for a high productivity of different species of microalgae. And we are also working on the optimization of formulation process and the species extraction, selection, cultivation in order to achieve an ideal taste and flavor for this low-carbon microalgae food. So I think it really has great potential in a wide range of application in food and beverage industry. And here's today's presentation, and comments and interests are highly welcome. And here is our contact. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Sachs, for her interesting sharing on the latest technology from NAMI. Our last session is the introduction of cultivated meat technology. Please welcome Ms. Carrie Chan, the CEO of Ozone Meats Company Limited.
Hello everyone, how is everyone doing? Last section. Okay, nice to meet you everyone. My name is Carrie, founder and CEO of Ozone. We are the very first cultivated meat company of Greater China, Hong Kong, and the only one that has developed quite a bit of product when it comes to cultivated fish in Asia. So a quick question, hands up if you would like to. Have you heard about cultivated meat before? Hands up if you're done. Okay. That's great. Actually, quite a lot of people has already know about it. So there are probably a lot of questions. Why, how, who is doing that, when are we going to see that in the market, and what exactly it is, and how much it is. I think a lot of people have this question. So I will try my best to answer all this question in the upcoming 10-15 minutes. So, this fish, his name is Bliney. So his ancestor actually lived near water surface. Many generations ago, his ancestor would wash to the bottom of the cave, where there was no light and there was very few food. So after a number of generations, scientists found that the same species of fish, there were actually two groups, one near the water and one at the bottom of the cave. And then they find that the fish at the bottom of the cave, they have lost their eyesight. So this fish is blind, as the name implies, it's called Bliney. And interestingly, they find that the brain also shrank in size because of the lack of the vision capability. And why they do that is actually the lack of abundant food in that area. They really need to reduce on the energy consumption. That leads the scientists to calculate what is happening with the consumption of energy inside animal bodies. The number they found out is that the brain and also vision and everything is really consuming about 23% of the energy of the animal. So that means that our brain and whatever we eat that is converted to calories and energy, a lot of actually going to our brain. So then the questions come. Traditionally, we have been, how do we produce meat? We basically feed some animals some food, let them digest it, and then they will grow in muscles. When they become bigger, then we slaughter them and then we get the meat. However, think about what I've just mentioned to you. A lot of the energy the animal consume converted to doing other body-like activities, vision and everything. Actually, a lot of the energy are not converted to meat because fundamentally, animals are not born in this world to become our meat. Interestingly, although this is very much like in the culture, we are expecting this. So this is the traditional way. The problem is that this way has been investigated and people now look at it in a clearer perspective. It is very highly inefficient. So for poultry, the efficiency is about 10-ish%. Beef is actually the lowest. With more efficient farming solution, this could go a few factors are multiples. However, you can still see that there's a lot of wastage. So where did all the energy wasted, you will ask? If energy is consumed, right, is conserved, who study physics. So a lot of them actually go to environment in addition to the energy that's spent on different activities. For example, greenhouse gas. Livestock production of animals for our food is the second highest emission greenhouse gas emission source. It's about 18%. Contributed to global warming, obviously. And then think about human beings. There are 7.9 billion of people on this earth, and we are so worried about the treatment of the sewage and wastewater already. We have not thought in the context of the so many billions, 70 billions of farm animals that is raised, and how many excrement that produce actually from farms every year. So I calculated it. If you look at the pyramid of Giza, that is about 4 billion tons, That means that about 700 per year, and it is producing 2 a day. The horrible thing is that it's not actually stopped per year, it's actually recurrent every year, it's actually on the rise. So how do we find so much space on the planet to house all of this and waiting them to be degraded and not affecting our environment? Not to mention that animal agriculture are using a lot of the water, fresh water. We know that part of the world we don't have access to fresh water. It's actually using 1/3 of the clear fresh water we are on this earth, while 1.1 billion people don't have access to that. Not to mention, as we have heard of, a lot of the public health that is, implied by the zoonotic disease, such as swine flu, bird flu, etc. So much for the reason why we're doing that. So now what exactly it is. So think about this technology as something that we can skip animal altogether. Imagine they are just the middleman between the raw material and the meat we want. Previously, we need to feed the animal the food, let them digest, and then let them grow, and then we slaughter them. Now we basically skip them altogether by converting the natural resources, which is crops and other like minerals, vitamins, glucose, amino acid, feed them in the liquid form directly to the cells. It is proven I don't know whether any one of us study biology. If you have friends study biology, you will know that actually cells can grow outside of animals' body, given the right temperature, right food, right pH level whatsoever. So actually this is a proven principle. Now we can apply this to the food application. We feed the nutrient to the cell directly, and then given the right condition, they can grow into the protein and the thing that we want. The most important benefit of this is, of course, the conservation of natural resources and also the energy use. So the most recent report conducted on the life cycle assessment basically compared different kind of meat, including beef, which is, we heard them is basically the one that's the most, not environmental friendly. Cultivated meat in the conventional way or using solar energy is actually a fraction of the energy and the footprint compared to some of these meat products. So what is the process involved in making cultivated meat? It's very similar to hydroponics. So hydroponics, what we do, we pluck some leaves or some part of the plant, or we actually grow the seeds, and then instead of growing in the soil, in the wild outdoor, we grow them indoor. The benefit of that is that it is a totally controlled environment. We don't have bugs, we don't have pests, so we don't really need to put in pesticide and other chemicals unnecessarily. So we do not end up having these in our final product. And also, without the external kind of threat, we have more stable supply. So the same concept applies here. We pluck some cells from animals, in this case, in our case, fish, and then we grow them in a big pot. It's like a pot where we make soup, basically, a very large one. It's called bioreactor. And then in about 1.5 to 2 months' time, we yield the product that we want. So similar to what I've mentioned, stable harvest, no pests and no pesticide. Here on the left, this is how we're producing fish now. It is kind of messy. You need a lot of people to cut out the fish, fillet it, discard the part that we don't want. In the future, it will be totally it could be automated, very clean, controlled, We know what going in, and there's no environmental pollutants getting into that. So this is actually possible now. We are building one of this as of now when we're talking. So think about the bioprocesses. So this seems something that it is very much not similar to, doesn't sound like similar to food that we are very used to. But think about that. We have been using bioprocesses to making food such as yogurt. We start with some health benefiting bacteria, put them in lactose, and then put them, it's actually in a machine similar to what we are using. Is fermenter, which is keeping the temperature right, keep it stirring, etc. And then we get the yogurt. Or beer that we like, we use with yeast and other material, and then put it in fermenter, and you get a beer. So in the fish or in the meat production, it will be very much similar. We start with something called a cell, and a group of cells we call the cell line, and then we feed the cell with the food they need to survive, like glucose, minerals, amino acid, and vitamins, no different from what we need to absorb in terms of nutrients to stay healthy. And then the cells, in this case, a little bit different. We need to provide the cells with a bit of structure because we're actually getting the cell mass and not the liquid form that's produced by the cells. So that's why we need the scaffold. And then we put them in a bioreactor. In about 1.5 months to 2 months' time, we get the meat that we want. So this is the technology, and who exactly are doing it. So there are different organizations around the world doing some kind of different landscape mapping, and this industry actually not existed for too long. It's less than a decade's time. The earliest generation of company is starting from around 2015. They primarily in the US, Israel, and Europe. They primarily work on beef and some of the red meat type. And there are second generation of company which is starting to pop up in Asia and other parts of the world, also working on different kind of product. In our case, we started in 2018. We work on fish because Asia is actually consuming a lot of fish and seafood, as we know. And as we grow, this landscape actually growing now to about 80, 90 company now. The third generation of company doing a lot of the enabling technology to help with the whole ecosystem. This is another map. So this map has basically too small, you can't even see. The main part is actually plant-based protein. So this is a very rough kind of survey of how many companies are working on plant-based meat that we have just heard about early on. There's also a number of companies which is on the left-hand side. This rectangular is on cultivated meat. And this corner is those who are the folks working on fish, and we are one of them. And there are a few of them in the US, and as well as a few of them on seafood in Asia as well. Now comes to the big businesses. So we are all small potatoes like startup and startup, etc. So actually this technology is solving a lot of business challenges in the future, definitely sustainability. A lot of companies like established company like this, they either have already formed partnership or they have invested through their corporate VC into a respective startup company, in addition to a number of alternative protein focused investor like VC, etc. So this is definitely growing a lot of momentum in this space, pushing this technology further ahead. We look at some numbers. In the past, there have been a lot of investment going to plant-based, and then now we're also seeing some other solution, including fermentation, which is another similar technology using recombinant approach. Cultivated meat also growing in this sector a lot as we develop more of the technology mature. So how much it costs, and then when are we going to eat that? So the market of meat is growing at about 3% per year, target to meet 1.8 trillion by the year 2040. And a management consulting company has done a rough calculation at the rate that we grow. Very likely cultured meat or cultivated meat will be a solution that, against, side by side with conventional meat, as well as the vegan product, there will be cultivated meat. It will be a major segment of the market, driven by different reasons, environmental reasons, as well as food supply chain, carbon footprint, as well as other health concerns, etc. So there's also a question about price parity. So we are always asked about when is it going to be the same price. because to begin with, we're using a lot of material that is borrowed from the medical field. So the equipment are actually quite expensive. The nutrient, when we bought it, they are not just glucose from the supermarket. They're actually glucose high purity that we get from a specific supplier. So they're kind of expensive. So we are doing a lot of the cost reduction. In our case, we already reduced the cost by 90%, but still it's quite a bit, distance from the, it's the same price as the conventional product. So if we look at some other similar product in the market now, including plant-based, microorganism-based, which is fermentation, and cell-based, someone has projected that around in about 10 years' time. I actually see it will be earlier than that because this line, dotted line, which is the conventional animal-based, it does not go up in price, which is not very reasonable, right? Because, of course, the environmental costs will increase. There are also more challenges to the operation, definitely is going up. So we're going to see that at the moment we're a few kind of multiple to the conventional meat product in our case, but very gradually as we do more R&D, reduce the cost as well as the economy of scale, we see that we will be very similar to conventional meat ultimately. But bear in mind that we know a lot of the product out there, they're already generating revenue, even though it is not as cheap. And think about it, when we go to supermarket, we do not necessarily just buy cheap, we buy value. So what the value is benefiting me for the environment, for my health, well-being, as for my nutritional intake, all are important consideration. Price is one factor, although it is important factor, but it's only one factor. So this is how we see it. And if we look at the mobile kind of market, indeed at the beginning it's very, very expensive, and then it gradually go down, and then it branch off to two segments, including the budget trend and premium trend because of different function and different benefit it brings. It might happen even similarly along the alternative protein field as well. So no worries about that. We are going to reach there at some point. So following few slides, talk about our company, just a little bit introduction. So we focus on fish. Why we pick fish? Because fish, there are many different challenges we don't have on the land anymore. For example, exposure to mercury, heavy metals, microplastic, and these are not, these are not the challenges. Food consumer, including ourselves, will wonder, is it totally safe? The fish are swimming out there. Have they been to this area before they end up on my plate? Also for the marine ecosystem, we know that we are emptying the ocean at a rate that they cannot replenish themselves. So 90% already exploited. If we do not do further things to scale down on that, we will basically have not sustainable body of fish in the ocean. And this solution that we're producing also trying to help businesses as well, because we have friends who are running fish farms. Fish farms are also affected by the external factors such as global warming, the water changing in salinity, acidification of ocean. Their harvest is actually affected by it. So no wonder we also have investors and also partners who are actually from the traditional animal agriculture field who would like to work with us or invest in us. Our company started in 2018. We also have our first lab in Science Park. We have done multiple prototypes, including cultivated fish maw, which is a delicacy in this part of the world. And then we also have presented a fish fillet. We are very grateful to have our article and also reporter tasting it, and also have an article written about the tasting. And we also use this technology to do other products as well. So a lot of our lifestyle ingredient material actually from animals, in addition to meat. For example, skincare ingredient, the like of if collagen actually make you wake up, because this term actually translates to youthful skin, etc. This is actually a protein only sourced from animal, not from plants. So for people who would like to avoid using animal products, that basically we cannot buy those. So this method, this technology, very good to solving the source. We can still harvest the same very useful peptide, but without killing the animal. And we are also very grateful to be awarded the Technology Pioneer by the World Economic Forum in June this year. We are the only one company that is awarded this in this space, cultivated meat tech space. We are now having operation both in Hong Kong as well as beyond Hong Kong, including a joint laboratory, and then also a pilot plant in Singapore. We have also partners, including investors and collaborators in this region. And we are building up a lab in Singapore as well, and then a pilot plant over there. We are going to sell our product in the form of ingredient that we can supply to restaurants, such as Chinese-style restaurant that can incorporate our fish maw into the dishes. This is also the ingredient that we can also supply to skincare and personal care product. Indeed, we have shipped out a number of the samples to some of these multinational company. They're also very intrigued and also very interested by the sustainability and also function of this ingredient. In the long term, we look to also apply this technology to different parts of the world, different cities, and forming partnership and licensing to actually decentralize the whole supply chain. So the story about the cold food chain that we bring some of these, bacteria or the virus, because now in the future we can have a plant in Hong Kong, in Guangzhou, or in Japan, basically producing for the local market. So we can basically decentralize the whole supply chain, reduce the carbon footprint in that regard, and also minimizing a lot of these challenges. And we also have a couple of brands under development, including one for the food and one for the ingredient application. So to summarize, we have this product coming in the market. Look forward to, we will start producing next year, and look forward to seeing and also sharing with you more in the next year event. We have been on multiple platforms and social media as well, so do follow us. We are on, our website is avantmeats.com. We are also on LinkedIn, where we post a lot of our latest development. Thank you very much. If there's any question, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. This is the end of our FOODTECH Asia seminar. And once again, we'd like to thank Invest Hong Kong for being our major supporter and our sponsor, Green Common. And lastly, we'd like to thank all of you for attending our seminar. And we'll see you again. Thank you.